Hi, Nick Astor with TriplePundit.com. I'm here with David Edmondson from an interesting company called eRecyclingCorps, and he's the CEO of that company, and it's having a very positive impact on empowering folks around the world to have access to mobile devices and all that comes along with it. David, give us, in a nutshell, what eRecyclingCorps is all about.
I think eRecyclingCorps is a company that is focused on transforming the back end of the wireless industry, making a profit doing that, and then solving two very important problems. One, an environmental problem, the unintended consequence of people getting the next latest, greatest phone and then having that go into a drawer, ultimately go into the landfill, into the solid waste system, and creating an enormously, rapidly growing environmental problem. That has to stop. People have to realize that there are toxic chemicals in the batteries in these devices, and we have to stop moving that into the drawer and ultimately into the landfill. The second thing is that, that thing we put in the drawer that wastes away has a life-changing effect on somebody else in the world who doesn't have a subsidized device where the carrier buys it down for a 2-year contract. They have to pay the full boat for a phone. And so they get access to technology in the developing part of the world, and we close the digital divide that exists between the developed and the developing world by reusing these devices and putting them in the hands of people who literally will change their life by having that device. So that's the essence of the company.
Great. Can you give us an idea of the scope of the problem and the scope of what you've managed to impact?
Sure. This year there will be 1.2 billion new wireless phones sold around the world. That's 1.2 billion. Of that number in the world, less than 1%, according to the World Economic Forum, are actually recycled properly. So most phones are not. In the United States, that number is about 10%, so we do better than the rest of the world. But it still means 90% of those devices are making it into the solid waste system. So it's a huge opportunity, it's a huge problem, but the way to solve that problem is you have to focus on making it easy for consumers, rewarding consumers, making it hassle-free, and frankly doing it at the place where they buy their new wireless phones, so it's part of the transaction rather than some other activity that you have to do later. And those are the things we focus on, specifically with wireless carriers.
That's great. In other words, I'm the consumer. I'm ready for a new phone. I walk into the shop to get the new phone. Somebody at the shop says, by the way, why don't you leave your old phone here and I'll give you $50 for it.
Exactly. So it's really creating a new normal. What used to exist is you go into a store, you go in with one phone, you come out with two, one goes in the drawer. The next time, 18 months later, you go in with one, you come out with two, one goes in the drawer. Pretty soon you got a pile of them that all go in the trash. What we want to create, and the experience we create for consumers, is you go into the store with one, you leave that one there, you get rewarded immediately for doing the right thing, and that phone goes on and has another life where it impacts somebody's life in a positive way in the developing world.
And finally, you've also been able to benefit your customers, who are the large cell phone companies, quite a bit as well. Can you give me an idea of how much money you've been able to save them?
Well, one particular customer, we told them when we started this program that we could save them $100 million in the first year, and we ended up missing that goal. We saved them $150 million in the first 10.5 months because they can use these phones and renew them and give them to customers who drop their phone in a lake and have insurance or whatever, and offset by having a renewed phone go into the hands of somebody rather than having to buy a new one. And that's huge savings for them.
Win, win, win. Thanks so much for joining me, David.
Hey, it's great to see you.
Cheers.
Thanks.